Okay, Jeff,
Almost. All right, good to go.
go Dennis.
All set? Okay. And everybody's in the call that needs to be?
Everybody on, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. So then at this time, I'd like to call to order the August meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Brighton. We don't need to talk about how you get out of your house because I presume everybody knows how to do that if they need to. So at this point, was the meeting properly advertised, Rick?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, is advertised in Brighton Pittsburgh Post of July 30th, 2020.
Okay, very good. So then at this time, could you call the roll?
Ms. Schwartz,
Here.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Here.
Ms. Dale,
Here.
Mr. Mites,
Here?
Watson,
Here.
Ms. Schmidt,
Here.
Mr. Clapp. Please let the record show that Mr. Clapp is not present.
Okay. All right, so I think all the board members are familiar with last month's meeting and how we tried to run it. Again, you know, if you can keep your mic muted unless, you know, you need to speak, and we try not to talk over each other. I think we did fine with that last month. You know, but it's not an excuse for people not being able to speak, you know, when they need to. So we do want to hear everybody's comments, especially when we have the deliberations. So. And then the first thing we need to do is take care of the minutes. And I just ask that we try in deference of time to deal with major issues in the minutes, not, you know, a slight spelling of a word or something like that. So at this point, then let's take a look at the July meeting minutes. So do we have corrections for that meeting's minutes?
Yes.
Okay, Judy.
Okay.
So go through it slowly here, please.
Okay. Page 18, line 15. The first word does not make sense. So you might want to take a look at that, everybody. The word is written as no sure, which I'm not sure. So,
Can you just delete it?
okay. I'll begin, and we'd like to continue to work with the town of Brighton and make sure that we apply for the proper permits and always abide by town rules along with the fire department no sure rules.
OSHA.
Yeah,
OSHA.
probably, yeah.
I thought, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
OSHA.
Okay.
Okay, all right,
Line
that's good.
line 22, the third word should be under. Page 39, line 7, the close to the end, the word should be garage space.
Yep.
Page 85, number 1, line 13, under findings of fact, delete theirs and make it this. Line 14, the second word should be 3. And line 25, it's 1.2 inches. So put the inch mark on page 91, line 22. In the middle of the sentence, the word should be fried. And
Yep.
that's all I have.
Okay, very good. Does anyone else have anything else? Okay, how about a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Andre
Somebody
with the
yes?
Andre with the motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
Jennifer with the second.
Just,
Motion is-
just as we go through this, when you make, you know, if you want to do something, just put your hand up so that sometimes, you know, the way the mics work, we can't really see so and hear it correctly. Go ahead.
The motion is to approve with corrections. Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Mites,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion to approve with corrections carries.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think everybody saw Rick's update to the agenda that for A0220 Treetown Cafe, 7A04, which is 60 Helen Road, and are removed from tonight's agenda.
Also for A0520, which was 2735 Monroe Avenue.
Right, the Mama Sons, right? Okay, so where we're going to begin then is 801, which is 885 Winton Road South.
The two applications, 8A0120 and 8A0220, are the same property, so I
Right.
will read them both. Application 8A0120, application of Joseph O'Donnell, architect, and Sarah D. Realty, owner of property located at 885 Winton Road South, for an area variance from section 205-6 to allow for an increase in building density from 5,158 square feet to 5,469 square feet, where a maximum density of 4,504 square feet is allowed by code. All is described in the application and plans on file. And application 8A0220, same applicant, same address, for an area variance from section 205-12 to allow for 30 on-site parking spaces in lieu of the minimum 37 parking spaces required by code. All described in the application and plans on file.
Okay, do we have Mr. O'Donnell then?
Jeff, I think might have been Joe's phone. Joseph's phone.
He's on. He's just connecting his audio.
Okay,
Thanks.
very good.
Hello, Rick.
Yes, Joe, we got you.
Hi. I'm sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties here at my home computer.
Do you want us to move on to another
I'm
application?
No, but if you can allow Catherine O'Keen into the meeting, I'm on her laptop.
Do you have that, Jeff?
There you go. Okay.
Good.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Ken,
Okay. I'm gonna turn my phone off. Okay, I apologize if I'm having some other trouble here, so. Okay,
all right, I think that's looking good, Joe.
okay. All right.
So why don't you begin with 8A01 and then just move into 8A02, please?
Okay.
just introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe O'Donnell. You guys getting background noise on me?
Yes,
Hey, hang on a minute.
Just minimize.
Can you guys hear me?
yes,
All right. Sorry about that. Gosh, I should know how to do this. I do at the city of Rochester all the time. In any event, so good evening. My name is Joe O'Donnell, the architect from Greater Living Architecture, representing the applicant tonight, with offices at 3033 Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road.
okay,
So we are here tonight in front of you to ask for two variances. First being a area variance for the addition, about 310 square foot, small addition off the back corner of the existing building to add a office, small office and conference room for additional one-on-one patient-doctor interaction. To go through the standards, the benefit to the applicant outweighing any detriment to the adjacent properties. We don't feel that it creates any detriment to the adjacent properties, given that it's infilling a vacant corner of the building, sort of squaring it off. doesn't encroach any further on any setbacks. The building has been approved by the planning board and the ARB with some conditions. All the materials and the look of the building, the window sizes will match the existing building, so it'll be a seamless addition to the existing building. We don't really think it's significant, so it's just another 310 square feet of density. We just think that that's a very minor addition. We don't believe there's any physical or environmental impacts, given that it's not going to produce any noise, odors, any additional spillage of light into adjacent properties. The other standard I can't think of off the top of my head, but the last being self-created. You know, in my 15 years of serving on a zoning board, I very rarely see any variance that's not self-created. So on the first variance, that's our presentation. I'm open for questions.
Joe, can you just, go ahead. Can you talk about what the need for that office, what bearing does it have on this operation, and why can't it be dealt with in some other way?
Well, the operation requires very high patient doctor confidentiality. So the additional private office will reduce the burden of shared offices, and the additional conference space will allow the doctor patient to have secure acoustic meetings with their patients. So it's a matter of alleviating the pressure of the interior of the building, given all of the new HIPAA laws, and of course now in light of the new situation with COVID.
Okay.
This is
Another question?
This
Andrew?
is member Wright. So just to kind of follow up on what you said, this won't change then the staff load at the property, won't change the patient, per day, the number of patients that are being seen then?
That's correct. According to the owners, they have a staff of approximately 8 to 9 people, and they see about 3 to 4 patients per hour on the site. So it's just a matter of providing a higher level of service for the type of work they do, which is clinical research.
Okay. So are there any other questions about AA01 at this time? Okay, then Joe, let's move on to 8A02.
Okay, so for the record, my name is Joe O'Donnell from Greater Living Architecture with offices at 3033 Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road. I represent the owner of the property for the variance of elimination of 1 parking spot due to the addition of the previous application. I'd like to point out to the board that there are 33 spaces available on the site now, specifically designated to this building. And there's also a shared parking agreement of an additional 37 spaces with the building to the south. As I mentioned, they have 8 to 9 employees, 3 to 4 patients per hour. So right now on a typical day, they use 1/3 to 1/2 of the 33 spaces, not even demanding any excess spaces in the shared parking agreement. So on Sundays, Saturdays, there's only 1 staff member and the doctor there. And on Sundays, only the doctor doing paperwork. It's also been noted that the Brighton police like to use this parking lot to monitor 12 corners, which the owner welcomes all the time. So again, running through the standards, the benefit of having the additional space inside and the loss of 1 parking spot is not detrimental to the neighbors. We don't think it's significant given we're only taking up 1 spot. We're actually physical, environmental, we're not creating any additional impervious materials on the site. And it's self-created from the previous application. So I open it up to questions.
Joe, just for clarification, the site plan itself shows 30 parking spaces on site.
Okay, there's a couple, Rick, that are back along the west lot there that didn't show up in the surveyor's map.
Kind
I
of like
think-
a parallel parking or something like
Exactly.
that up in there.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I know there is one space exactly where the addition is going. So
Correct.
that would be down to 32 with the construction of the addition, correct?
Correct, exactly. So if you notice, there's also the one spot there next to where in the lower left corner of lower left corner, which would be the southwest corner. There's also a spot there. Some of the board members don't see that. And then there's two parallel spots along that west property line where it veers off.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there other questions for Joe here on 8802 about the parking situation there? Okay. And at this time, if there are no other questions related to this from the board members, then I would ask if there's anyone on our Zoom audience that would like to speak regarding this application, either 8801 or 802.
And
Yes,
if you could,
yes,
okay. Go ahead.
Steve Hess.
Okay, Mr. Hess, just give us your address, sir.
Yes, my name is Stephen Hess. I am the husband of the owner, Dr. Sarah Atkinson. I was their administrator for 13 years, but I retired at age 82 last year. However, I managed that building, the reconstruction, so I'm well familiar. First, permit me to point out that the parking space where the addition is planned is where my wife parks, but actually it creates an additional parking space at the Marina Drive side within, if you look at the parking spaces on the other side of drawing, we're simply moving her parking space to stay within parking limits, even though we don't need that space. She parks there for privacy so that patients don't just walk in if they see her car. We actually have 67 available parking spaces with a cross easement. We never ever have more than 10 or 12 used at any one time if one passes our parking lot. It is particularly deserted because the other reason, which frankly developed later on, is that my wife has been asked to do some, we do clinical trials, and my wife and the clinic has been asked to do some COVID. We do COVID testing now, and we probably will be getting 1 or 2 COVID virus additional protocols. So we basically need a conference room. Right now we have 2 people in every office, which is workable, but a few of them are senior and newly hired. We hired a physician, so we would like to give them a private office.
Okay. All right, very good. Well, appreciate your comments. And just for the record, could you just give us your address, sir?
Yes, Dr. Atkinson and I live at 10 Bay Point Circle in Rochester, New York. And of course, you have the office at 885 South Winton.
Yes, yes, very good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hess.
And thank you for the time.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, then being, excuse me, there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Yeah, by the way, permit me to apologize for the photograph. That's me at 5 years old in Holland. I don't know how it got there.
All
Okay,
right,
thanks for all your help, zoning board members and Rick, and have a good evening.
thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, Rick, when you're ready,
Yeah.
read 8003.
Yeah, just before we go on, Jeff, could you allow Alexandra to come in as co-host so she can ask questions if there's a problem with the transcript? Thank you.
Okay,
Application 8A0320, application Lawrence Heiniger and Susan Matre, owners of property located at 376 Meadow Drive for extension and approved variance to allow a detached garage addition to be 3 feet from the side lot line, remove the minimum 5 feet required by code. I'll describe an application and plans on file.
Okay, who will be speaking related to this?
Larry Heininger, Dennis, how are
Hi,
you?
Larry, how are you? Okay, so
Good.
just name and address and let it go.
All right, official name is Lawrence E. Heininger, address 376 Meadow Drive, 14618.
Okay,
This is exactly the same application you approved a year ago. The contractor was supposed to do the work, never got started. Left the state late last year. Then we went into the springtime, winter, along comes COVID, trying to find another contractor. I actually wrote Rick a letter on April 29th asking to extend this, and he said, you guys don't do that. I needed to reapply and send another check, no problem. The silver lining to this cloud, the contractor that I was recommended to me that left the state, actually stiffed the people who recommended him for about $6,000. So my contractor will be Sickles Construction out of Caledonia, and Jim Sickles and Company do quite a bit of work and have for about 35 years. So I have lots of confidence this will be done professionally, on time, and it'll be a joy to get it done.
you have a ETA?
Approval tonight, I'll submit my building plans, and Jim Sickles said, as soon as you're ready to go, we'll get the guys over there.
Okay, great.
So maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4.
So it should be done this building season then.
Oh, it will be done. A friend of mine came and got a TR4, Triumph TR4 engine out yesterday. Another guy's coming tomorrow to get a big Healy 6 engine out for rebuild. I'll be moving a car. Got to get the garage cleared out for those guys to work. So everything is in motion.
Okay, great. All right, board members, questions for Mr. Heininger? Pretty straightforward, I think. Okay, very good. Okay, so thank you, Larry. Thank you for taking care of your application here. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak related to 376 Meadow Drive? Okay, then there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Application 8A0420, application of Amy Pink, owner of property located at 15 Victoria Drive for an area variance of section 207-2A to allow a front yard fence to be 5.5 feet in height, in lieu of the maximum 3.5 feet in height allowed by code. All described in an application and plans on file.
Okay. Who do we have to speak related to application 8804?
Hang on, gotta get her unmuted. Okay,
Can you see me?
Ken.
Hello. Okay. Sorry, I can't see myself. I'm Amy Pink. I live at 15 Victoria Drive.
Okay, great. So tell us what you're trying to do, Amy.
Okay. So I have a very, very teeny tiny backyard because my house is kind of like a bow tie and goes up against the house behind me. So what I'm trying to do is extend that little small area that is fenced behind my house currently, and just kind of give myself and my family an area that we can consider a backyard that's safe and fenced in. We're newly expecting a baby and just really want to make sure that we have a safe fenced in area for them to be. Obviously, you know, this area of Winton is very busy. We are right next to where it merges from 2 lanes to 1, and people are always honking and like swerving at each other and stuff right there. And it just really concerns me. So wanted to be able to put a fence there for privacy and everything. As you see, it's about 16 feet from the sidewalk, about 20 feet from the street. So plenty of line of view for everyone who's turning off the road, or my neighbors behind me. They actually park their cars up like to that area. So they're more than happy to, you know, just park near the fence, they're totally fine. I have signatures from anyone who would be looking at it. Everybody's super supportive and approving, and we just want to make it look, as soft and natural as possible. We've been working really hard on making a great home here, and really excited to be a part of the town, and just wanted a nice, safe area to be able to use as a backyard.
Okay, great. Are you planning to do any mitigation of what that fence would look like from the street? Or are
Yep,
you,
so I do have some printouts that I gave you guys with different pictures.
yes, we saw them.
You can see on the sides of the photo, the open, clear line of view from the sides of those. I did have someone put up a rendering, so you can actually see from the side here. I even drew sidewalks. You can really see there's a nice good chunk of space where you can still see all of Winton, everything you need to be turning off of the street. Because of the shape of our house and where it sits on the lot, we don't block anybody by having this fence here. It doesn't block any lines of view. It isn't in anybody else's way, or there's no houses that have to look at it really. We're just on the main road. So
All right. Okay. So are there other questions or any questions from the board members?
Amy, you are proposing landscaping around the
Right.
fence?
yeah, absolutely. I was actually getting some advice from some of my neighbors, and we're thinking about some rhododendron, something that would be evergreen, so that it would, kind of really, what would be the word, camouflage the fence nicely, but have a nice floral. So we're thinking rhododendron, and, no matter what, we're going to put something green all around it, because we like the softness too, which is another reason why we're going for, a nice wood stain, as low impact as possible.
Okay, that's great.
And you guys did approve a fence around our pool, and we had an agreement to do greenery around that, and we have followed suit and done just what was in our picture. So
Very good. Okay, is there other questions for Amy? Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. There are a number of trees in the yard. Will all of those be outside of the fence, or will most of these be fenced in?
So we wanted fencing at least one, for a kid to maybe have a swing or something.
Yeah.
So if you right here to the left, if you look at the front view, there's a big maple that will be fenced in. But then if you scroll down one, the second maple will be outside of it. And we don't intend on doing anything but trimming those, if maybe one branch is in the way when we're doing the fence or whatever, but we really enjoy the shade, so.
Very good. Other questions by board members? Rick?
Yeah, I just have one thing for the record. Amy, could you kind of just explain a little bit on why 5.5 feet is the height that you feel you need there? It is, quite a bit of a variance. So just for the record, could you explain why something lower wouldn't work?
So we actually have a large dog, very large dog. And we currently have the 5.5 in the backyard right there. You can see the white one, how I wrote same height as existing fence. And he has a tendency to jump up pretty high on that and put his paws on it. So we were just worried if we get anything shorter that he'll run out into the road, So we just wanted to make sure that we've seen that this height works for him. So we just want to continue that. And then also, I really would prefer a fence that's tall enough that, someone walking down Winton, can't reach in and, touch my child or touch my dog or whatever, So I figure the slatting gives it enough, view and openness that we can maybe have a little bit more height is kind of what I was hoping for.
Okay. Any other questions by the board members?
Yeah, Rick and Dennis too. If this were truly backyard, there would be no need for a variance because she's under the 6 feet, correct? But
Under the
because it's a
6 feet.
side lot, because it's a
It's a
corner
front
lot,
yard, it's a front yard because it's,
Yes,
Spaces.
because of the configuration of the
a
lot.
corner, okay.
I mean, if it was a true side yard, she'd be okay, because you can go up to 6.5 feet in a side yard.
Right.
But, I mean, you know, because it's a corner lot, it's got 2 front yards.
Right.
Because it's the side of her house, it's a front yard.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, then, thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your
So,
time.
is there anyone else anyone in the audience who would like to speak regarding 15 Victoria Drive? Okay, at this point, if there is no one, then the public hearing is closed.
Thank you.
I'd just like to remind the people in the audience that if you do want to speak and you don't think you're getting through, please use the raise your hand option through Zoom. Application 8A0520, application of Ian and Jamie Smith, owners of property located at 204 Wilshire Road, for one, an area variance from section 209-10 to allow livable floor area to increase from 3,392 square feet from 3,459 square feet after construction of 2 additions, where a maximum 2,796 square feet is allowed by code. And 2, an area variance from section 205-2 to allow building lot coverage to increase from 31.7% to 31.9%, where a maximum 25% is allowed by code. All described in application and plans on file.
All righty. So who do we have to speak on 805?
So my name is Ian Smith. This is my wife, Jamie. We own the property here at 204 Wilshire Road.
Okay, so go right ahead then.
So I'm a little unprepared because our architect was going to be here, but he got caught up doing something else. So we are asking for 2 separate additions. The first one is on the bottom side of this drawing where I guess it's technically addition, but we're really just filling in part of a covered porch. So that covered porch that you can see is that full section, and we're going to fill in half of it to create a mudroom. And on the top side of that drawing, we're looking just to kind of backfill in, kind of like the first application we saw today, we're just backfilling in that corner, which is giving us an extension on our kitchen and allowing for a larger kitchen with an eat-in space. We moved into this house with 2 children. We now have 3. And the way that our kitchen is kind of laid out, it's kind of an L shape. So there's really nowhere for our kids to eat in our kitchen. And we have a formal dining space. So in mornings when we're getting ready for school and at lunchtime, they're not able to be in the kitchen with us, which is slightly inconvenient. So this is really the only way that we're able to fit in an eating space in our kitchen. And both of those variances are the back side of the house and don't encroach any further either north, east, or west on any lot lines than the rest of the house already is.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so questions by the board members related to Wilshire? Go ahead, Jen.
Just one question. I'm wondering if you have spoken with any of your neighbors about the project and gotten their feedback, specifically the one that is right next to where the kitchen addition will be. I think that's 196 Wilshire.
Yeah, so our neighbor on that side, his name is Gary. He's okay with it. We've told him that we're going to, he actually has a fence that he closes in his driveway with that has it's a metal post that's in our lot. And so if through the course of work, we have to move that in order to put that addition on, we've told him that we'll move that post and so to put it somewhere else so that the fence can be moved and put back up there. But it doesn't encroach any further on where he is. And we actually have a fence. You can see the fence in the drawing there. The fence is closer to his lot line and his driveway by almost double than what the actual addition is going to be. So it doesn't really change his drive-in at all.
Okay. Very good. Other questions for Wilshire? Okay, very good. Well, appreciate you presenting it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your
Thank you for
time.
your time.
Okay, and then let's just see in the audience, is there anyone who would like to speak related to 204 Wilshire Road? Okay, there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Application 8A0620, application of Kathleen Anderson and Christopher Liston, owner of the property located at 72 Westland Avenue, for an area variance from section 203-2.1B7 and 203-9A4 to allow for an air conditioning unit to be located in the front yard in lieu of the side or rear yard as required by code. I'll describe an application and plans on file.
Okay, who do we have to speak for this?
So there we go. Kate Anderson and Chris Liston.
Hi there.
Yeah, so we're applying to put an air conditioner in our front yard.
I presume you are the residents of 72 Westland Avenue for the
Yes, we
record?
are.
Okay, great. Okay, so go on.
So you can see per the site plan, we're on a 50-foot lot on Westland. So we have driveways on both sides. We have a patio and a deck in the back. So our front yard is fully landscaped. So looking at putting an air conditioning condenser in this location of the site plan.
Okay. All right, and could you just explain a little about what other alternatives there might have been versus this location?
Yep. So if you go through the photos, we do have an existing wood deck that was on the house when we purchased it, as well as a concrete patio. And you can see on each side with the 50-foot lot, there's driveways. So there isn't space in either of those locations. There is potential for a future kitchen addition. And that's really the only spot on the back that might work, but it would impede. And that this is the way that we come into our house. So that really the front yard is kind of the most concealed location, I guess. And there are a number of other properties on the street that manage their air conditioner in the same way in the front.
Okay. Very good.
This is member Wright. And I think you said in your application, that I noticed that there is shrubbery already in the front yard there. I believe it may be enough. It's hard to tell with the size of the AC unit, but you are willing to plant additional shrubbery if it's not fully shielded from the sidewalk?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. We do have large rhododendron and a corner kind of tree and hydrangea. When this was taken, it wasn't quite as big, but we can absolutely add additional screening.
And then Rick, this is just a question for you. The materials that they submitted, I think it shows like 4 decibels in that unit. How does that compare to the town's requirements for maximum?
For an air conditioner, the maximum decibel rating is 72.
Okay.
But very few air conditioners today are at that level, especially a residential air conditioner. What is the decibel rating for this particular?
I
I
think
think
the materials.
74 at maximum speed. It's a variable speed unit, so it would very infrequently run at full speed.
Okay.
4 decibel. I don't. That is
That
like,
can't be right.
that can't be right because that's like less than a whisper.
That's 4, yeah,
Oh,
before.
I'm sorry. I'm reading this wrong. It's 4 decibel below competitors'
Competitors
minimum.
minimum.
Right.
Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah.
So do you?
But yeah, I mean, basically, when the building permit is made, we'll have to verify the decibel level, and
Yes.
and if, I'm sure it won't be at 72.
Right. Okay. Did you have anything else, Andrew?
No, that was it for me.
Is there
Yeah, we were
anybody
cool.
else with a question for the Andersons here? Mr. Liston and Ms. Anderson. Sorry about that.
That's
Okay.
okay.
All right, very good. So
Okay. Thank you.
thank you. And at this point, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak related to 72 Westland Avenue? Okay, there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Thanks.
Okay.
Application 8A0720, and I just got word from the applicant. They appear to still be in the meeting. Maybe they want to come on, but they probably would want to like to postpone it. But I'm going to read it, and perhaps the applicant can come and just on and basically state the reasons why they would like to table the application or postpone the application. 8A0720, application Part D, Partnership Architects Agent and George's Family Restaurants, owner of property located at 2171 West Henrietta Road, for variance with section 73-29 in accordance with section 73-34 to allow for the remodeling of a restaurant building without the installation of an automatic sprinkler system as required by code. Also got an application and plans on file.
I'm on next.
Scott?
Yes, I'm trying to get on to, can you hear me at least?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I received a letter from the fire marshal.
Scott, could you just state your name for the record for us?
Of course, I apologize. I'm Scott Fisk. I'm president of Party Partnership Architects. I'm representing the owner of 2171 West Henrietta Road for this. We were applying for a variance from the local sprinkler law. At roughly 5:30 this evening, I received a copy of the letter that Chris was sending to the board, stating his position on it. He raised a number of concerns or issues that sounded like they needed to be addressed. So I would like to respectfully request this be tabled until next month, so we can have time to review this and see if we can not adequately address his questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any specific questions? Again, it's a little difficult without a presentation of the whole thing, but all of us did receive the correspondence from our fire marshal. So, and he does in fact raise some issues there. So we can discuss this further a little later, but does anyone have anything they would like to ask Scott at this point, or are we comfortable?
I think tabling it makes sense.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll discuss that in the deliberations, but does anyone have anything that they want to ask Scott? I just want to give people opportunity.
Yes, I just have one question. Would you be able to get insurance without having a sprinkler system? Do you know?
Yes, they would be able to get insurance for the building. A little history, it was in the packet. If that building had been a restaurant for some 70 years already, the issue is that it's complicated. It's a complex submittal package. So rather than start to get into it piecemeal, I'd like to have an opportunity to review Chris's comments and see how we can address them and come back to the board next month or prior to see how we can resolve this for the fire marshal.
Yeah, that's much better. We don't want to peck away at it if we.
No, I don't want to either, because there's a lot of interrelated parts.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. So, okay, at this point then, we'll take that under advisement and discuss it in the deliberation. But is there anyone in the audience that does want to speak at all about this application since it is on the agenda? Okay, there being none, then we'll hold on this public hearing.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott.
Application 8A0820. Application of Pierpont Visual Graphics Agent and 2561 Lockdeville Management, owner of property located at 2561 Lockdeville Boulevard, for sign variance with section 207-32 to allow for a freestanding identification sign where not allowed by code. Also describe an application and plans on file.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Scott Zappia. I'm one of the owners of Pure Pond Visual Graphics, 15 Elser Terrace, Rochester, New York, 14611. Representing the owner. We designed the sign. We're going to construct it and install it. He's looking for, you know, something that's has some class to it to show his location. It's double-sided, non-illuminated. I think size-wise, it's pretty, you know, comparable to the other ones in the area. Similar styles, stone, pillars, and HDU double-sided, V-grooved. He's gonna do gold leaf. He wants something very, very nice. And that's it.
Can you discuss a little bit what the need for this sign is?
I just want something, you know, an entranceway to his property, showing that the medical building's located there, and he's trying to, add some, nice exterior appearance to his property. And
okay. Is he the current operator of the property?
I think he's just the landlord, the owner.
All right, but he has been the owner for some period of time.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess what we're driving at when we say, well, what's the need for this? I mean, are people having a difficult time finding the building? I mean, do you have any idea what is reasoning? Aesthetically, we can certainly understand it, but what beyond that?
I just think, probably just an added feature for them to find it easier, a little more accessible when they're driving down the street.
Are you familiar with what the tenancy of this building is?
It's mostly medical. I'm not sure exactly what they are medical. I'm not sure what the actual.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So board members, questions for this gentleman? Anything?
With the exception of, sorry, this is member Wright, with the exception of Jubilee's sign, to the Jubilee Center sign, which isn't actually technically on the same road. Are there other signs on this road or similar signs of this size and presence in the area that aren't necessarily that are on these kind of side streets as well, or on Lac DeVille?
I believe there's a couple other ones that I'm not totally sure exactly where they are, but there's some similar. One other one's similar to this one, but I'm not sure exactly where.
I don't believe there are too many in the area.
I think there's like one or two other ones.
The Jubilee is an interesting case because they were a place of worship, and places of worship are allowed to have a freestanding sign. They also had to come in and get a variance for that because of when they subdivided the parcel and built that office building. Still granted them the variance for the place of worship. Besides that, I'm not thinking of any particular one except for maybe some of the ones that are permitted because they are like the apartments that are just a block up on Rudeville, but that is a permitted sign for them. In this case, this sign is not a permitted sign in the zoning district. So there are some out there, but they are all different scenario for their presence.
Okay, that's helpful. All right, any other questions for this gentleman? Okay, at this point then, thank you very much.
All right, appreciate it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
This is Member Watson. So I'm looking at the Google Street View of the building right now, and there's rather significant lettering on the building face itself that says Lac DeVille Medical. And so I'm curious to know if there are any plans to take down that building signage, or if you could more fully articulate why the freestanding sign is needed given the signage on the building already.
To be honest, I don't think he's planning to take anything down right now. I mean, he might be. I don't know. He hasn't discussed that part of it. I just think he wants something that will be more accessible to people driving on the street. So.
Okay.
Right.
Any other questions by the board members? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
All right,
Is there
thank you.
anyone in
Thanks
the
for your time.
audience that would like to speak related to this application? Okay, then there being none, the public hearing is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've gotten through them all. Is everybody okay to keep moving here? Okay. So whenever, our first application then to discuss is 8801, which is the building density over on Winton Road South at the office building there. So why don't we just go around here and see what we've got. So Andrea, what do you think?
I'm okay with it. I'd like a pretty well-drafted condition that it stay clinical research with a low patient load. Not necessarily give a number, but unlike other medical offices which have high turnovers, which this square footage wouldn't be able to kind of use the space parking. That would be my
general
concern.
medical, right?
I think that we would have to try to condition just this particular
Tenant.
portion or the tenant or the portion of this building. I don't think we could limit their use because medical office is a permitted use in the district.
Right. Yeah, but I think I gather Andrea's point is that they're very clearly saying that based on what they do for a medical business and how they do it is the reason that there's flexibility in the parking situation versus changing to some other kind of medical. So it seemed to me that if we dealt with them as a tenant, then it doesn't preclude any other medical, but they would have to come back then and say, well.
And that might be something when we talk about the parking. For the density coverage,
right.
Then I think we can make a comment that this portion, this addition shall be as a conference room or something like that, not used for actual medical offices. We can make it that condition, tying it into that condition. But we can't tie it into the use under this particular.
Okay, yeah, agreed. Okay, Jean, what do you think?
It's fine. I don't have any problems with it.
Okay. All right, and then Kathleen?
I also do not have a problem.
Okay, Judy?
Fine.
And Jennifer?
Looks good to me.
Okay, I don't have any problem with either. So it's Jean.
Yep. Motion to approve application 8A0120 to allow an increase in building density based upon the following findings of fact. 1, the increase in building density will be the result of construction of a 310 square foot addition to provide a new office and conference room for confidential patient-doctor interactions. Number 2, there will be no substantial change in the character of the neighborhood or detrimental effect to surrounding properties, as the proposed addition is to be built from similar materials as the existing and to match the current look of the building. Also, the applicant has testified that the building addition has been approved by the planning board and architectural review board with minor changes. Number 3, the location proposed for the new addition is on an inside corner of the existing building and is the only location on the site feasible to build out without negatively impacting parking further than the corresponding application. And number 4, the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. And number 5, there will be no change to the number of staff or the patient load at this location. The conditions, the addition shall be built as per the application filed and testimony given and in accordance with changes desired by the planning board and architectural review board.
Okay. Do we have a second to that, please?
Member Wright, seconds.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you want to make a comment that you kind of have it in there, Gene, just the way you worded that condition. However, do you want to be more specific and say that the addition shall be, I know it's kind of a hard condition it will be a hard condition to follow up on, but that it shall be used for conference room only. It's not the right wording. And it's not, shall not be used as offices.
They did state that it would be used for offices.
Yeah, like a consultation office, Rick, is what.
Yeah, more of a, not a, yeah, I guess it's.
I think we're probably getting too micro there.
Yeah, I think too.
Okay, let's go. That's fine, I think. Okay, so we have a second, and whenever you're ready, Rick.
The motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
and Ms. Dale.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, so the second part of this is the parking spaces and the understanding of the contiguous parking and also the discussion of what the practice really uses. So how about Jennifer, any thoughts here?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Judy?
I'm fine.
Okay. Kathleen?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. And Andrea?
Yeah, I apologize. This is where I meant my comment to go, just that I would want to make sure that this parking variance refers to the clinical trial use and not all medical offices, which would have a much higher parking demand.
Okay. And then Jeannie?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. All right. So I have this one. So I'll move that we approve application 800220 based on the following findings of fact. 1, no substantial change to the character of the neighborhood will likely occur through the approval of this variance, since the additional 4 spaces can be managed through a cross easement agreement. 2, while the variance is self-created, the need for additional space in the medical practice cannot be mitigated in any other way due to the site conditions. And 3, the practical analysis of the parking requirements of this occupant do not indicate a need for the additional 4 spaces. And conditions that this variance would be based on the testimony given and plans submitted. 2, that all, is it just planning board, Rick, here that we need?
They just need, not for this.
Okay, so just all necessary permits shall be obtained?
Yeah, but do you want to make a comment regarding Andrea's?
Yes, I do, but that'll be my next one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That usually is the last one, that's why I said.
Okay, yeah. So then number 3, I said this variance shall be applicable to the, I don't know if we want to call them what, the tenant of record and name them, or what do you think, Rick?
Oh, it's 1 tenant, I believe.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure how to exactly describe the use. I mean, clinical trials sound like something they do there, but that's not all they do. So maybe if we just name that the use of this particular tenant, such and such, such and such.
Finger Lakes Clinical Research.
Finger Lakes what?
Clinical Research.
Okay.
You could probably limit it to clinical research uses.
Not necessarily, because clinical research could be like flu trials that bring in hundreds of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's just call the specific tenant because they have a specific use. And if it really became a problem, we could challenge, well, what was that use in, August of 2020? So I think this might work. Okay. And that would be the last condition. So
yes. So I'm just say this variance applies only for the use of the property by Finger Lakes Clinical
Say
Research.
by the tenant of record, Finger Lakes.
Okay, by
Yeah, right.
the tenant of record, Finger Lakes Clinical Research.
Right.
And Dennis, I'm gonna, I'm sorry, but there are no permits required for this, so your second.
Sure. So that'll be number 2 then, the last one, and then just, yeah, get rid of the permits. Okay. All right. So how about a second?
Second, Judy.
Okay. Okay.
A motion to approve with conditions. Ms. Tompkins, right?
Yes.
Ms. Dale?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Mites?
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, so I'll just ask quickly because we're just extending this variance here, or this application on 803. Does anyone have a problem with 8803?
No.
No.
Okay, great. Okay, so Kathleen, you're up.
Okay. I move to approve application 8A 0320 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the variance request is to add an additional 8 feet to the front of the homeowner's existing garage. 2, the existing garage is currently 3 feet from the side lot line, and the 8-foot addition also would be 3 feet from the side lot line, where the code requires a minimum of 5 feet. 3, the granting of this variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties. The garage is set back more than 80 feet from the street, so the addition will likely not be noticeable to any passersby. Further, the neighbors closest to the property sent a letter that they do not object to the addition. 4, the requested variance is not substantial given that the current garage already sits at a 3 feet from the property line as was permitted in 1930, and the addition will not increase the setback violation. 5, the benefit sought by the applicant cannot reasonably be achieved due to the current location of the garage. 6, there is no evidence that there will be a negative impact on the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Conditions: the variance applies only to the garage addition described in the application and testimony provided and will not apply to future projects. 2, all necessary building permits shall be obtained.
Second.
Jennifer with the second. The motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins, right?
Yes.
Ms. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Mites?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
And Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, very good. 8004 is Victoria Drive for the 5.5-foot fence on the corner lot. So do we need to go around? Does anyone have a problem with 8004? It's a pretty odd lot. I live close to that, and I think she's been putting a lot of money into the property,
Yeah.
trying to upgrade it. And, you know, I think there's not a lot of other alternatives here. So
No.
There's a house a few, maybe a block or 2 down on Witten that also appears to have, it looked like it was at least 5 feet tall.
Right.
Along Witten Road as well for the same purpose.
Right.
Right. We have something further down to where I live, and it's right on Witten Road, parallel to Witten Road, between 2 houses. And because, Rick, I think you'll say if it meets the edge of the house, it can be 6 feet. And this is like a stockade, and it's solid. And this is far more appealing, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
And there are no plantings.
I think one condition they really want to be specific, that it should be an open style fence. Because
Right.
if it was solid stockade, I think it'd have a whole different.
It'll change it. Yeah. Okay.
And I think also the mitigation of the landscaping, whether it's rhododendrons or we don't have to pick on what plant it is, but
Right.
I think that softens it up because it really is pretty close to the street. So
Right, and And also, one condition that I would like to craft for this is that the location of the fence shall not in any way encroach into the clear vision zone as defined in the code. That's an area, a triangle of 30 feet from the intersection of the corner going in both directions up Victoria and up Winton and then connecting. So you get a triangle and nothing in that area can be above 30 inches.
Rick, maybe you could help Judy out with
Yes,
that.
I'll need definitely.
Yeah, I'll read.
Okay.
I'll reword it, or right.
All right. So
Thank you.
Again, but
is there any other concerns about this, or are we okay generally with it with the conditions? Everybody okay? All right, go ahead, Judy.
I move that we approve application 8A0420 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the house is on a corner lot and a variance is necessary for most changes to the property because what appears to be the side yard is the front yard. 2, even though the variance may seem substantial, a 5.5-foot high fence in lieu of the 3.5 feet allowed by code, the fence will be slatted, creating a more open appearance and will be far less massive than a solid style fence. 3, the fence will be a natural wood finish that will blend in well with the established trees on the property. 4, the plantings depicted on the picture stated in the application will soften the appearance of the fence. 5, no other alternative can produce the necessary safety to the family because the actual backyard is very small. And there is a good deal of traffic on this section of Whitten Road, which is close to the intersection of Westfall Road. 6, the fence was carefully laid out so as not to impair the line of sight. Conditions: 1, this variance only applies to the 5.5-foot fence in the front yard as presented in the written application and testimony presented. 2, all building and planning approvals must be obtained.
I'll just say all building permits should be obtained.
Okay. 3, to soften the height of the fence, there should be plantings spaced around it and be of an open slatted style. And 4, the position of the fence. And then Rick, will you finish that part up, please? With the feet.
Number 4, no portion of the fence shall encroach into the clear vision
I can
zone.
barely hear you. You're very, very soft.
Okay, no portion of the fence shall encroach into the clear vision zone as defined by the town code.
Did you really expect me to get all that down?
No, she got.
Oh, good.
Oh, no, he's taking it down.
Thank you.
I'm sure this, Alexandra, you got that, right?
I got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, very good. Okay, so do we have a second to this, please?
I second.
Okay.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Mrs. Dale,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions.
Okay, so the next one is Wilshire for the couple of minor additions and then the slight change to the lot coverage. Does anyone have any concerns about Wilshire? Okay, yeah, I don't either, so. Jennifer?
No concerns, but boy, they're fitting a lot on a small piece of property. Not small, but moderate sized piece of property.
They're using quite up all the inches, yes.
Right. It kind of seems like standard for that street. I was driving around thinking, wow, these are big houses on small lots.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you got to really do is when we're doing the findings here, really tie it into the character of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that really and truly, it's not going to have any visual impacts. And that houses on the street are built like this. They're really built out.
Kind of thematic for the neighborhood, yeah.
So, shall I?
Okay, Jennifer.
I move to approve application 8A-05-20 based on the following findings of fact. One, the requested variances are not substantial in that it is an increase of just 67 square feet over the current size of the house and an increase of 0.2% of building lot coverage. The additions do not expand the footprint of the house beyond the outermost walls of the existing structure. Number two, the proposed additions will not result in a substantial change in the character of the neighborhood or pose a detriment to nearby properties. Many houses in this neighborhood are similarly sized and have similar additions. Also, the proposed additions will not be front-facing or easily visible from the street. Number three, the proposed variance is the minimum necessary to add a small 14-foot kitchen eating area and 53-foot mudroom for a growing family. Conditions. Number one, this variance will apply only to the project as described in the application and plans on file. In particular, it will not apply to projects considered in the future that are not in the present application. Number two, all necessary permits and approval shall be obtained.
Second? I'm sorry, Judy?
Yes.
Judy with the second.
Okay.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
and Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so then the next one is 72 Westland with the air conditioning unit. Does anyone have any concerns about this? Nice unit, Rick. Okay. All right, so go ahead, Andrea.
I move to approve application 8A-06-20, etc., all as described in the application and plans on file based on the following findings of fact. Number one, the granting of the requested variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties. The location of the generator in the front yard will be well shielded from view due to existing shrubbery and additional shrubbery if needed. Further, the location is consistent with other mechanical equipment in the front yards of several neighboring properties. Number two, the requested variance is not substantial given the aforementioned shielding and the fact that the generator is of a size and decibel level so as to make it less noticeable and intrusive.
Hang on for 1 sec. Replace generator with air conditioning unit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Sorry. Are you sure? No, I'm just joking. Yes, the fact that the air conditioning unit is of a size and decibel level so as to make it less noticeable and intrusive. Number three, the benefit sought by the applicant cannot reasonably be achieved by any other method. The rear yard is unavailable due to improvements in the rear of the home, and side yards are unavailable due to the width of the house and the proximity of the neighboring property lines and driveways. Number four, there is no evidence that the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Conditions. Number one, the variance herein granted applies only to the air conditioning unit described in and in the location as depicted on the application and in the testimony given. Number two, the generator shall be shielded from view from the sidewalk through additional planted shrubbery, if not adequately shielded by existing shrubbery. And number three, all necessary permits must be obtained.
Okay.
Second.
Judy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 was all necessary permits.
Yes, just permits.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
She's muted.
Sorry. Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, so the next is the situation on West Henrietta Road. Again, unless you have a pretty significant background, that Chris Roth memo is a little difficult to get through. I think the critical thing is really reading at the end that, you know, his recommendation is to follow the sprinkler ordinance, but he does certainly open up the discussion for some other mitigations, which I think Mr. Fisk is trying to maybe peck away at. So I don't know if anyone has a problem tabling it. I think it's
I would
probably
suggest that.
reasonable. I'm sorry.
I would suggest that we just postpone it.
Okay, that's fine too. That's
request and not table it, because we really didn't have a formal public hearing on it. I will say, you know, I do want to say a couple of things just for the members.
Yep.
You know, this is quite a bit different than what we approved back last year.
Yeah.
A lot more has been added to the site. I mean, they still have to come back to us for a lot of requests here. I mean, remembering that we only approved it for, I think, 66 seats. There's an ice cream walk-up area that's being added here. There's additional seating, possibly second floor seating. So there's a lot going on.
Yes. Yeah. You know, and just, you know, not to prejudice it much here, but just to make the general comment, you know, the gentleman who is the operator of this business is a general contractor. And it just seems peculiar, the sequencing of what's been happening on the site, because it's really been a problem right from the beginning when he started taking the siding off the building and doing all kinds of other things. So it's a little problematic. So I think, you know, it certainly looks nice. I think he's definitely improved the property, no question. If you drive down West Henry Road, it's a big improvement. But I think, Rick, if we do a postponement, then there's no issue with the public hearing then, right? We don't need to hold it open since we never had one.
Right. I'm just going to postpone it applicant's request.
Okay. So please, you know, read through Chris's, because I know everyone just got it right before the meeting. And then we can discuss any technical questions about it next month once we hear what they present. Okay.
Yeah, hold on to all that stuff, please.
Yep. All right. Okay, so we have one more, and that's this thing on Lac DeVille. So let's go around on this one. This is a little different here. So Andrea, what do you think about Lac DeVille?
I vote no. I don't know how you can say it's consistent with the, you know, surrounding neighborhood. It's not. I drove around. I mean, there are a couple very small freestanding signs, mostly giving directional, you know, addresses. There's, with the exception of Jubilee Center, I haven't seen any. And churches. That's who has these types of, you know, signs. So I just don't think he provided adequate evidence to show that there's no alternatives, adequate evidence to show that it won't change the character of the neighborhood. I just don't think he presented anything.
Okay. Ms. Dale.
Yeah, I think he did a horrible job. You know, without any sort of rationale or explanation. You know, I thought Jennifer had a really good question about the signs that exist on the building. So yeah, I'd also vote no on this one.
Okay. Kathleen?
I have a big sigh because I think I have a personal bias that I prefer signage with medical buildings. I think I'm not the only one when you're concerned trying to look for a building, and the more signage for medical things, the better. So I have a hard time saying that there's too much signage. So I did not think that he made a clear presentation, but I think he was not the owner. He was the person who created the sign. But I don't have a problem with the sign itself.
Okay. All right, Judy?
I think it's much too big for the area. I agree with the others. Also, too, the number is already really well placed on the building and it's a good size. So, and there's no other building really there to get confused with. It's not like driving into Clinton Crossings or anything like that. I think that what's there, the 2561, way up nice on the building is fine right now. I don't think he is a case.
Okay, Jennifer?
Yeah, I agree with what's already been said. I mean, it's a pretty looking sign, but it's far too big, and there wasn't a case made for why it's needed at all, given the existing signage. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay, and I agree. I think it was obviously a bad case. Plus, you know, there was no case made as to what the difficulty was. We tried to lead him into it a little bit, and he just didn't really have the information. So, but I think clearly, even if we had the information, I think it would have just been a debate about, well, why is it really needed related to that pretty large signage that's already on this building. And again, there's nothing impeding the view there other than it's slightly back from the street. So, okay. So this was Doug's. Is anyone willing to just do the denial on this one? How about Andrea?
Andrea, you're good at that. You're good at denials, Andrea.
I don't know what that says about me, but okay. I move to deny application 8A-08-20 based on, based on the following findings of fact. Number one, the applicant did not provide sufficient evidence that the sign will not create a change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby property owners. And number two, the applicant did not provide sufficient evidence. There are no alternative means by which to accomplish applicants' objectives other than by use of a freestanding sign. Period.
Okay.
Could you also add that the existing signage on the building basically gives plenty of visual
Sure.
notice, whatever you
Number three, existing signage of the building provides sufficient notice for users as to the building's use and tenant
and location.
and location.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Second.
Okay.
The motion is to deny. Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
You're muted.
Ms. Dale,
Oh, sorry, yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
No.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
and Ms. Thompson-Gray.
Yes.
Motion to deny carries.
Okay.
Before we check out, just a couple things. Yeah, going back to 8A0720, it is complicated. Do the best you can. Try to read through the documentation that was submitted and then read Chris's letter. I expect us to have a pretty heavy September meeting. One thing that we got in already is a challenge to the fact that the building department issued a permit to start construction on a Starbucks building at Whole Foods Plaza. They're challenging that issuance of the permit, and they're challenging it to us. So we could have two different law firms making the same application. That's always fun. Also, there are a number of applications, and I already received a number of applications for our next September meeting, but there are also a number of applications that are still out there. We had to postpone it tonight. We have the 7A0420 that was held over, and I know they'll be coming in September. So there's going to be a lot. So we have to try to get through it as best we can. So I hope everybody's going to be here. Doug is no longer on the board. Tonight was his last meeting, and he couldn't make it tonight either. So we're down a member. And it's September 2nd. I again. I don't know what's going on with schools, but it's getting close to that time if there is going to be school. Jennifer, you have your hand up.
Seems like a bad time to tell you that I'm going to be out of town. We have vacation plans in Cape Cod.
I have at least 5 members.
I'm actually out of town, but I think I can come in. I mean, I think I can arrange to be here, but I do have to get off because I got double booked for meetings tonight. So I'm
Okay,
gonna
you're fine.
jump off, but
Okay.
I will plan to be to figure out how to call in or to Zoom in for next month's meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. So thank you, everybody. And also, I will offer, and I'm sure Rick will as well, that if you have, because of what's happening with this agenda, what it looks like is happening, if you do have any need to understand a little more about Chris Roth's comments there, then just get a hold of me or get a hold of Rick, and we'll try to work it through with you so that you don't have to struggle for time or whatever at the meeting itself. Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Rick, can I ask you a question? Do
Yeah.
you think, is Mamazon's going to be on the agenda in September?
Mama San's withdrawn.
Withdrawn entirely. Okay.
Yeah. Mama San's withdrawn. Tree Town Cafe withdrawn.
Okay. I was going to say, I've got some motions typed up already that I could forward to somebody.
We will not need that.
Okay.
Yeah, we will not need them. So we're
All
all
right,
set.
Sorry.
All right, no problem. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good
All right.
trip.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.